Hi and welcome to my channel on YouTube. Thank you for your support and feedback on the lessons that I've been posting so far. It's been very encouraging. And there was a series of lessons I started off some time back on general guitar chord progressions and patterns used very commonly in Bollywood music. I've been getting a lot of questions for quite some time, and some of those questions have kind of prompted me to continue with this series. So in today's lesson, I'm going to answer one of those questions, and hopefully there is something that you're going to learn from this. One of the questions which has come up to me is what do you do when you use notes outside of the scale? So we'll take an example. And by the way, this question came from my subscriber Ash. Thank you, Ash. So what we're going to do in today's lesson is take the C major scale and take songs which use the C major scale but have also used notes which are not part of the regular C major scale. So for instance, instead of B, B flat has been used. So what do you do when B flat is used and what chord do you play then? And so on and so forth. So I hope you'll find this lesson interesting, and if you have more questions, please come back and let me know. I'll try and answer those by email, and if those questions are deep enough to post a video lesson, I'll do so. Now let's take the example of C major scale. So if you have a song which is based on a C major scale, it would use as a rule these notes, that's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. That's if you're playing with the open strings, but if you want to play a little further down the fretboard, you will be playing them here. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now if you were to play chords against these notes and only those notes are used in the melody, then it's fairly straightforward. You can actually manage just three chords, that's the C, F and G. But let's try and take a look at all of the chords which can be played in this scale. So if you are playing the note C, typically you would be playing the C major chord that contains the notes C, E and G, and those are within the scale. If you're playing the note D, which could be played on the open string, third string here, or you could be playing it here, which is the 5th fret on the 2nd string. The chord could be D minor. You could also play G major actually, because that contains the notes G, B and D, and those are within the scale and also contains the note G. For the note E, you would be playing E minor. You could also play C major because that contains the note E as well. For the note F, no prizes for guessing, you would typically play F major. For the note G, you would play typically G. You could play C as well, so G or C. For the note A, typically you would play A minor. You could also play F major. For the note B, if you want to play a chord using B as the first note of the chord, as the root note, you would have to play B diminished, which you could play over here. Now that's not a very pleasant chord, and typically that's used to bridge two chords. It's used as a passing chord, and we'll take examples of that later on. So typically when you have the note B, which is the 7th note of the scale, you would play G major, or if you want to make it sound a little more funky, you would play G7. And then back to C, where you play the chord C major. So these are all notes within the scale, right? But what happens when you use a note outside of the scale? So for example, instead of the note B, we play the note B flat. So the progression is C, the scale is C, D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C. Now when the note B flat comes in, you cannot play the chord G because G contains G, B, D. You can play G minor, which contains G, B flat, D. But usually the chords which are played in most songs would be either B flat major, so that contains the notes B flat, D and F. So you could play like a bar chord here, or you could play it this way. And B flat, D and F are all notes which are in this scale of C major, where instead of B you're using the note B flat. You could also play the C7th chord, which contains the note C, E, G and B flat. You could play it over here. So what you're doing here is basically you're playing only the 5th, 4th, 3rd and 2nd string. This is a very useful chord shape. It doesn't contain all of the notes of the chord. Actually it contains two C's here, and it contains an E as well as a B flat. It doesn't contain the note G, but still it is used very commonly. It's very convenient because it's a movable chord, so you're playing C here, C7 here. If you move it to the next fret, it becomes C sharp 7, and then it becomes D7. And now let's take some popular examples of songs from Bollywood. So this one is Ruk Jao Jaane Wali from Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, and I don't remember what scale the song is originally, but we play it. The song goes like this. So as you can see here, instead of the note B, we played the note B flat, and so the chords here would be it would start with C major when you start the melody, but when it falls on that note, you would play B flat. So there are many other examples. Let's take an old song like O Majhire. It's a very famous number sung by Kishore Kumar from the film Kinara, and it has very interestingly used both C7th and B flat. Let me show you what it sounds like. So let's look at the melody in the song. It starts like this. So you play the chord C here, that's the note C over there. Now this note here in the second line of the song is actually E. You could play C major here, but what the composer has done is they have played the C7th chord, which makes it sound very nice, and it's easier to transition from C to B flat, which will come in the next line of the song, by putting in the C7th chord here. So let me play the melody once again for you. So there are 4 chords being played here. In the first line it's C major, in the second line it's C7, and then it's B flat, and then it's back to C. So once again. Let's take another example from an oldie. And I'm going to use this example because in this song it actually switches between B to B flat. So you can actually see the song using both the G chord as well as the B flat chord. And this song is Aaja Aaja Main Hoon Pyar Tera from the film Teesri Manzil. So let's look at the melody in this song. I'm going to play it very slowly so you can look at the notes being played. So as you can see, it pretty much keeps touching on the note B most of the time in the first few lines of the mukhra. So you're able to play the chord G. But when it reaches the end of those lines, before it starts the Aaja 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 continuous pattern, it actually hits the note B flat. So that's where the mood of the song changes, and instead of playing G, you play the chord B flat. So let's now try and see the melody. I'm going to play it for you very slowly, and then I'll show you the chord being played over there. So the first line is, so you play the chord C. So here it touches on the note B. You can play the chord G. You can also play G7. You stay there on G. That's C, and that's the last note of that melody line. That's where you hit B flat, and then you can quickly switch between B flat to C. If you find that difficult, you can continue strumming with C. So this is an example of a song where both the B note and the B flat note has been played. The overall mood of the song is with the note B flat, but the composer has very cleverly used both the notes to switch the moods and give you a different feel. There are many songs which use this B flat note. In Hindustani music, what we would be saying is, instead of Shuddh Ni, you're using Komal Ni. So if C major is a major scale, it corresponds to the notes Sa Re Ga Ma Pa Dha Ni Sa. instead of the note B, which is Ni or Komal Ni, sorry, I'm so sorry, Shuddh Ni, we use B flat or Komal Ni, and this is very commonly used in songs based on the Khamaj thought, and which corresponds to the Mixolydian mode in Western music. Now, if you're not comfortable with all of this theory, you can ignore this, but pretty much what you need to know is that when you are switching from the note B to B flat in a major scale, or let me say this way, if you're switching from the natural seventh note to the flattened seventh note, you could play the major chord based on that note. You could also play the seventh chord based on the first note of the scale, which was in this case C. You could also play the minor chord based on the fifth note of that scale, which is G minor. So depending on the mood which you want to create, you can choose the chord you want to play. So I hope you found this lesson useful. As we go forward, I will post more lessons on examples with other flats and sharps being used. So thank you so much for listening in, and until the next lesson.